In this video, I'm going to talk about the struggles of freelancing as a one-man band and kind of working on lower budget productions, not having the option to kind of bring in producers, especially when I'm just starting out in this business, and the struggles that come with that, where I just end up feeling like a bit of an octopus and that I have too much to deal with. I realised I never actually showed my finished room. You can see all the walls have been freshly painted, admittedly a pretty similar colour to what I had originally. A couple relevant things to show you guys. I've got a new setup in this corner, which is my new working space, but also a cool content creation space, which I'll show you in a minute. But more importantly, in this corner, I now have a dedicated area for kit. I mean, it's really boring, it's ugly, but it's all in one place, which is really nice. I've shown this trolley before. I think this trolley is less important than it was the last time I mentioned it. I've got loads of organisational sections to keep stuff in, but because of all of the new bags that I've been investing in, which I've mentioned in the last couple of vlogs, all of my kit just kind of lives in the bags ready to go, which is quite nice. So this trolley's become less important because there's kind of less that can actually go in there. And in the corner, I'll cut to this in a sec and show you guys in more detail, but we now have a permanent GoPro attached to the desk. So when I'm creating short form content in particular, it's less of an effort for me to have to set up a camera, set up a light. Everything is already here. So I have a Bluetooth bulb which is bouncing off this reflector to give a little bit of a hair light and fill in my face a little bit on this side. And then I've got this attached to the desk here, which is just a really cheap panel light under this like really crappy diffusion that I've had lying around for years, but because I never use it, it means I feel happy just clipping it to my desk and leaving it there, and the quality of the light is more than good enough. And then I've got a couple mounting points for the GoPro. This one is attached to the desk, and then I've got a tripod here, a monopod, which I also never use, which goes through the hole in the desk, so it's perfectly placed, not going anywhere, and I can shoot stuff either on the GoPro or I can put a mirrorless camera there and record some clips. So it's been really nice. I haven't actually recorded any short form stuff because I've been enjoying the YouTube content so much. This long form stuff has been really rewarding to me, just to keep a record of the work I'm doing. Okay, I know this is a YouTube video, so it's a bit weird to have a portrait video included, but this setup is primarily for short form stuff, and the reasoning behind that was short form content has to be so snappy and quick. So what I've actually done is set up recording through OBS. I'm trying to minimize the amount of steps that it takes for me recording a thought or an idea and just clicking upload. Now there are limitations to this, like I can't just throw in B-roll live. It's not like a one take and I click upload, but the bulk of the video I can do on here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So you can see my hand is poised and ready on this keyboard. What I've actually done through OBS is set up keybinds to enable different things. Now I am not very well practiced with this, but you can see I can do stuff like this if I want to crop in, or if I want to plug the YouTube, I've got this that comes up. I'm doing this all live. I will get better at this, and at some point I will have the keyboard completely hidden. You can see another keybind will bring up the Instagram, and we've got this profile picture asset. There's more stuff that I programmed, like I can do a product kind of showcase thing here. If I'm showing something, I can cut to this, or I can come back to the main view and fade to black, come back, crop in. There's infinite possibilities. Oh, I forgot something else as well. There's a title keybind, so if I want to do a title to a short form video, I can be like, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about this, and you can see I don't even have to look away from the camera. I can just like do everything, in theory, with muscle memory. Now, that's a lot of work to learn, but it will save me so much time in terms of the edits. I won't have to worry about bringing in assets like kind of Instagram pop-ups and stuff like that. That will all be done. In theory, all I need to do is bring in some extra clips to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. Something else I've done is it's all being live mixed. I'm using the DJI Mic 2 kit, which I use for all my jobs. It's plugged straight into my laptop, and then I've compensated for how much delay there is in both the GoPro camera, because this is like an old GoPro that I never use, running through USB-C into the laptop, and then kind of syncing up all the audio so it works. And then there's a lot of processing being done to my voice right now. There's an equalizer plugin I've got. Yeah, so it's basically like what's everything that I can do in the moment to make this happen, leaving me the least amount of work to get something posted. And it's really nice. The main thing is that it's permanent, right? So as I mentioned, I've got LED panel up here lighting me, and this light bulb up here I can actually control by my phone, which is really handy. It's a sunny day, so this is not doing much, but you can see it's giving me a bit of a hair light and bouncing off here a little bit. And this reflector being up on the wall permanently gives me, it just brightens up the whole scene generally. Anyway, I hope that might inspire some of you guys to kind of streamline your short form setup. I know I can't necessarily afford to just have my camera sat on a monopod in the corner the whole time, so it's been really nice to have a GoPro that can do that for me. And you can see it's just that easy to switch from portrait to landscape, having that monopod always ready to go. The other good thing about GoPros is through their GoPro webcam software, you can actually control which kind of crop mode it's using. So I'm on a more zoomed in crop mode. If you saw the vertical shot, it was like you could kind of see everything around the desk. This is a bit more cropped in, and it might be a little slow to try and do this live, but I'll show you a preview. Yeah, you can see we can just change the shot size, which is quite nice, kind of depending on the style of the video. I'll show you, while I've got this second camera running, exactly how the keybinds work. So all I do is click Command L and it comes up live just like that. And I'll show you another one. Command K, and we get our Instagram coming up. So it's really easy, and obviously, as I said, everything is live mixed, and there's a LUT burnt in there as well. It's perfect. It's such a good setup. Hopefully this will streamline the amount of hours that I actually spend making content in the week, because I've always wanted to cut down on the amount of time I spend doing social media stuff, which is why my YouTube is literally just like airdropping a load of videos from my phone and then doing a voiceover and calling it a day. For my short form, it's always taken way longer because you need that snappiness and you need assets and pop-ups to keep people interested, and subtitles. The list goes on. Whereas with YouTube, you just naturally assume that people have more time. And for my videos, I put chapters at the bottom so people can skip to what they're interested in. My last few videos have actually been scripted, so this one's going to be more of a commentary, just talking over some footage of a few projects from the last few weeks. I mentioned in the last vlog wanting to buy one of those lav concealers, and actually spotted one in my Xphoto video, so decided to just buy it then and there. It's not the most exciting purchase, but I probably never would have got around to it, so I'm glad to add that to my kit. And it wouldn't be a vlog without a clip of the tube. I was actually wearing this bag on my belt, which is really handy for travelling. I actually couldn't fit my water bottle in my bag because they were just full of kit, but I'll talk more about that bag at the end of the video. And this is my travel setup. I've got the two Timber bags, the rolling one and the backpack, and my Aputure F22C light case with all the light stands in. You can see I can actually fit my laptop and a clipboard into the light bag. So this has all the lights, the fixtures, control boxes, and one little spot in the corner there for my personal belongings. And again, back in Bristol, really nice to be able to travel for work. I enjoy actually just going on a little trip and making it into a work thing as well, so it was really nice to be back in the city with a new project. This one was a series of testimonial films for a financial firm. This was shoot day 1 of 4. I was speaking to someone who owns this tech firm and had been working with the financial advisors for a good number of years. We actually had a load of space to work with. A lot of people at this office work from home, but it did feel very corporate, and the final frame is reflective of that. In the last vlog, I talked about going into that second stage of business where I can just start making stuff and bringing other people on, more importantly, so it's really nice to get Joel along to shoot some behind the scenes for me. I need some new photos for my website to show the type of work that I'm actually making at the moment, so I'll show you Joel's photos in a minute. But for now, the setup. I'm able to get both of my lights on Sidus Link, which is really great, gives me lots of control. I know I only have 2 fixtures, but I'm running around doing many things, which is the main topic of this video. So being able to wirelessly control those lights is a small thing, especially when I am working on my own. I did have Joel to sit in for this one, but it's usually me sitting in, flipping the screen, and then just adjusting the lights on the Sidus Link app to get the right levels. Unfortunately, I did have to just point the 60x at the ceiling to get enough ambient light in the room. And these are Joel's behind the scenes photos. Considering we were shooting in an empty tech firm and I was the only crew member, I'm very happy with how these turn out, and I'll be able to use those to promote my business for a long time. It was also nice to just have someone else come along to the shoot and make me feel like I wasn't going completely crazy, just get a second opinion on some things and just have a general catch up. I haven't really talked about what I wanted to talk about in this video yet, which is me offering full service video production as a one-man band, which I can do, and as someone who's starting out where I'm trying to invest in equipment and scale the business and take on larger projects, this one was a great portfolio piece, but I've just realised it is too much to be doing the producing. So a whole load of admin and emails, I can do it, but it's not my specialty. It's not something I particularly enjoy doing, but it's something that has to be done to make the shoots happen. And then when I get to set, it's all of the technical stuff. So the lighting, setting up a couple fixtures, getting the camera in the right place, thinking about framing, audio. There's so much to be aware of. And then after all of that, sitting down and trying to be present in the interview and think about follow-up questions, and if you've got everything you need for the edit, you're kind of working across so many headspaces, thinking about keeping the client happy, the contributor, making sure you get what you need in the future, and that you're handling things well in the present. So you're being personable, you're keeping the contributor relaxed, you're making sure everything's running smoothly, but also that the camera's still recording and you're getting the coverage that you need to make the video that you've promised someone else to make. So it's a lot to worry about, especially when I'm running single camera. I think if I had two cameras here, it would be a bit less pressure because it gives you way more flexibility in the edit. But in this scenario, it's like, let's shoot an interview for half an hour, let's see what we get. The final videos are maybe 4 or 5 minutes long, but even so, to get enough B-roll to kind of cover the gaps where I'm going to have to make cuts is also a challenge, because after this, it was then a case of just kind of running about and getting some improvised B-roll shots. It's quite hard to plan, and it's quite hard to get stuff that you know is going to work. Next morning, I was on to the next shoot for this project. I was able to organise these so they were actually day after the other, which was really nice. So I went down to Bristol and got 2 of these videos shot. They want 4 in total, so that's 2 in the bag, and I can start working on the edits while I'm trying to get the other 2 organised. And the location we were shooting in was beautiful. I travelled up to Clifton and was shooting with another long-time client of the financial firm who was going to say a few words about how they had helped him on his financial journey. In almost every video on this channel so far, I've complained about having white walls, but this was a very different environment. There was a lot of wooden furniture, leather. It felt a lot more like I could get a really nice frame just out of being in a nice location. Yeah, I got a load of setup footage. Again, I don't think there's anything else I can really talk about now. I've streamlined this really well with my 3 bags. My rolling camera bag contains my whole camera rig and all of its accessories, V-mount batteries, lenses, my tripod, and my other timber bag has all of the control boxes for my lights. I was just trying to take some weight out of my f22C carry case because it's actually quite a long light, so there aren't many bags that it would actually fit in, which is why I've had to stay with the stock bag, but that also fits my lighting stands. This was the final frame on the second day. I was actually able to set up a backlight, which made me very happy. I'll show you what it looks like in camera in a second, but there's a lot more natural light in this space. The only thing that I didn't like was the scaffolding outside. There wasn't really much we could do about this, but I was able to frame the interview, so my contributor actually blocked all the ugly parts, so you couldn't really tell there was scaffolding, but I had to pull out the f1.8 lens just to blur that background a little bit more than usual. And this is what it looked like in camera, and again with the Sidus Link app I can just turn on all of the lights like this, and here's me toggling off the backlight so you can see the effect it has, and the backlight by itself. You can see it's kind of just pushing the existing light a little bit more, but I really like the look it gives. It just feels a lot more premium. I think obviously the space lends itself to that as well, but I'm very glad I bought the 60X on both days. And that was the Bristol trip. It was kind of a speed run. I did have the weekend before and then 2 shoots in a row, but I was doing some work in Suffolk the following morning. So this is me back home and then on another train at God knows what time in the morning. It was so early, the sun hadn't even come up yet, and this is me trying to get some work done. I was just editing the BTS from the shoot on the Monday, something where I could kind of just turn my brain off and listen to music. There was no one else on the train, which was quite nice. I was working in a primary school, so there wasn't really much I could record. I thought I'd show a very similar light stand to the one that I was using for my 60X, and these Amaran P60 panels, which we used all day. We were making a film with deaf school children about what it's like to be deaf. There was no pre-production. We showed up, we came up with an idea with the kids, and we had 2 days in total to plan, shoot, and edit it. I was working to both facilitate the day and work as the camera person as well to capture the footage for the film. This wasn't supposed to be a super polished, kind of high production value film. It was just giving the kids a chance to tell their story, which is why I kind of stuck up 2 light panels and called it a day. And I was working with my mentor Paul and an editor called Alice. I actually did some filming for this project probably over 2 years ago now. It's the first time I actually worked as kind of like a camera person for Paul, who runs the Offshoot Foundation. They primarily run filmmaking workshops, but get funding to make films for projects like these. The last time we went to a kind of recreation of a World War II trench, and the kids got to put on these kind of World War II costumes and see what it was like to live in Britain in the early 1940s. But this was one of the first films to be made in the project, and weirdly, I'm probably working on one of the last as the funding comes to an end. Call me lazy, but I've really liked this technique recently, whacking a light as bright as it goes. Obviously, we wouldn't have the house lights on when we're actually shooting, but just bouncing it into a white ceiling, put that box up so I didn't blind the young people who were going on camera, and then just pointing it at the ceiling, which actually makes for a flattering looking image and really brings up the levels in the room. I'd never buy these for myself because they're just far too heavy to take on foot. If I drove to shoots, I probably would be considering these as a nice budget option for a reasonably bright panel light which works with Sidus Link. Obviously, it's nowhere near as flattering as, you know, a nice diffused light source, but if you need something quick and easy, these pack up quite small. They just are pretty heavy for how bright they are. But in terms of build quality, they are just built like tanks. It's actually somehow been like a 12-hour day for me today, even though I was like working in school hours, so from like 9 till 3. It's been like 12 hours door to door just because of the location of the school I was working in. So I thought I'd record this segment on the way home because I know as soon as I get back, I'm just going to crash and I really want to get this vlog out. So I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about the kit I used today. I basically had this moment of revelation, which is like, I don't need to bring everything I own on every job. There are different tools required for each job, and in the case where I'm able to simplify the amount of gear that I'm bringing, it frees up so much more headspace. I found this bag at home, which is like, it came with a belt I bought, I think, secondhand, and it's kind of got this clip here which goes straight onto my belt. This bag is like the perfect size to put a V-mount battery in. So I've been running the camera with basically the least amount possible. I've got stock Sony battery in there. After today's shoot, I really want to start shooting on a slimmed down rig more. It's really nice having a mirrorless camera to be able to do that kind of thing and just run around and grab shots. But this V-mount battery in my pocket will give me options to power accessories as I need. And I'll show you what I did with this today. You can see there's this kind of clip on the front where I have my cable. This is my DTAP to DC cable, and I just plug the monitor in like so, and it's plugged straight into the battery and automatically powers on. So I have all of the weight of the V-mount on my waist, and yes, there is a cable between my waist and the camera, but for handheld stuff, this is not a problem at all. I forgot to mention that with a longer cable, this setup would actually be perfect for gimbal shooting. I don't own a gimbal, and this wire is probably not quite long enough, but you could easily power a monitor if you wanted off of this system here. And then the front of this bag I just use for my spare battery or my second battery of the day and stuff like lens cloths and handy accessories, but also this strap, which I think I salvaged from like a really cheap camera bag I had from years ago. This strap goes through the front of this bag and then over the top of the tripod head. You then attach the camera and this powers the monitor. That way I'm not like tied to the camera during the interview. You can just strap the battery pack onto the tripod, which will obviously be able to carry the weight, and then shoot the interview without kind of being stuck in one place or right on the camera. I probably look like a complete weirdo just like filming on my phone here. I'll see you in the next vlog. Hopefully by that point I'll have my new camera body and I'll be able to talk a little bit about my switch to whatever that camera might be. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.